We run a program called Content to Clients with over 100 clients inside, and it's an amazing place to be. They get help with their offers, content strategy, and loads of other things too. But today I want to show you 12 questions that have been asked recently inside our exclusive community and give you my answers to them so you might be able to apply some of the theory behind it. So Farron has asked, should she sell on other platforms? She's currently on LinkedIn at the moment. First and foremost, I'm a big fan of the power of one. One audience, one offer, one price point, one platform. However, you have to consider where your audience hang out. I've just put something in my book that's been released recently, which is if your audience are in Egypt, don't piss around in France. Now, I'm not talking to Farron here, by the way. You really need to consider first and foremost where your audience are. Where do they spend most of their time consuming content? If the answer to that is TikTok, then guess where you should go. I would not split your energy across two different platforms unless it's absolutely necessary. Because what you're doing is taking 100% of your energy and dividing it by two. So therefore, you're never going to get 100% results because you're only able to put 50% of your focus onto one thing at a time. Question number 2. Catherine has asked, should I publish my prices? And there's no right or wrong to this. I personally don't, because I believe in building value on the sales call and getting to know people first, and we only pitch if we're certain that we can help. Whilst we do subconsciously drop hints that it's a multiple four-figure investment, we don't reveal the final amount. However, we do have clients who are publishing prices, and I've also seen lots of other people in our space doing a very similar thing, and it's not had a detrimental effect. So it all comes down to, do you want people to come to a call already knowing your price, or to solely judge you based on that price? Because if you don't publish your price, there's no chance of them being able to do that. But if you do publish your price, it's probably one of the first things that they'll look at. And I think, this is just me personally, that you then only compete on price rather than the value or the outcome or the transformation or the results that you and your service provide. Question number 3. Matt has asked, what should I put in my LinkedIn featured section? Great question. The LinkedIn featured section is probably my favorite part of the LinkedIn profile because you can have visuals but also link out to other platforms. So you can go to your own LinkedIn newsletters or like put up high performing posts of yours, but I think that's the best place you've got or the best chance you've got to take people off platform. So I recommend a calendar link. I recommend freebies, I recommend client results, and I also recommend your newsletter and potential long form as well. So if you have a YouTube channel or a podcast as an example. Ultimately, you can put anything there, but I would always recommend your calendar link, freebies, and some social proof. Question 4. Lucy's asked, what should I do if I reach my weekly LinkedIn connection request limit? Another great question. No one really knows this, by the way. I have heard 100 connection requests per week is about the limit, but if you send loads, you will get flagged for it. So I would always recommend to send about 100 a week. I've got a few clients who are getting away with 200 and they're tracking it. So 20 a day, consistency pays off. However, if you're worried about hitting that 100, LinkedIn will actually warn you. They'll give you a very, very slight slap or a tap on the wrist just to let you know that you're reaching or approaching that limit, and therefore you can pull back. I have no idea when it resets. I've heard different things like Sunday and Monday, but if you just stay 20 there or thereabouts each day, you should be absolutely fine. Question 5. Tanya has asked, should I post a picture of myself in swimwear on LinkedIn? And for me, this all comes down to how comfortable you feel doing things like this. Does it give off the right impression? You know, is it tasteful? Is it posy? And they're just questions you should ask yourself. Personally, I don't think anyone wants to see me in my swimwear, so I wouldn't. However, this is completely up to you. No one can decide this for you. The one thing I will say is this going to help strengthen your relationship with potential clients and existing clients? If the answer is yes, go for it. If the answer is no, don't. Question number 6. Ben has asked, is there a way to send bulk connection requests? Now, I remember back in the day, when all you had to do was upload a CSV of like 5,000 email addresses and people's names, and LinkedIn would automatically send those requests for you. So you could use automation tools, which I do not recommend, or you could give a list of people to connect with to a virtual assistant and they could chip away at doing 20 a day as an example. However, as far as I know, LinkedIn have now removed the option to upload a CSV, so you can't send bulk connection requests.
The best way to find leads on LinkedIn is using Sales Navigator, but most people are scared of it because they think it costs too much and it's complicated. Firstly, you can grab a 30-day free trial. Secondly, I've got a free training that I'm going to give to you that helps you locate every single one of those leads you want. And this works for every industry. I'll literally show you everything. So if you want it completely free before I take it down, then hit the link in the description. Without further ado, back to the vid.
Question number 7. Dina has asked, how can I collect attendee email addresses from LinkedIn Lives? The only way to do it at the moment, at the time of recording this, is to run the live event, the LinkedIn Live event, through your company page. Now, your company page has to have 150 followers minimum in order to be able to meet the requirement of collecting email addresses, but you can then just tick a box and upload your privacy statement or T's and C's or GDPR or whatever that thing is, and then anyone that registers for the event will be able to tick a box and say that they're happy to be contacted off platform. So it's a great way, if you can get 100, 200 ideal clients onto a live, probably 25 to 50% of them are going to opt in, and then you can market to them via email. Question number 8. Katie's asked, what content types are working best right now on LinkedIn? Each one does a slightly different thing. So in terms of getting the most reach, carousel posts for me in a PDF format work really well. They get the most sort of impressions. In terms of engagement, it's just a singular photo with a nice text post attached to it. And in terms of trust building and getting people to know you, posting videos like this is definitely the best. So rather than asking what the best content types are, I'll probably reframe that and say, what's the objective? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to convert people? Are you trying to just capture new attention? Or are you trying to build that trust? Question number 9. David's asked, should I mix up the call to actions on my LinkedIn post, or the CTAs? I think if you keep saying the exact same thing at the bottom of every post, people will tune out. So it's best to always alternate. Again, this comes back to what the objective is for that post and making sure that the CTA is relevant. So yes, switch between them. Do you want people to follow you? Do you want people to share? Do you want people to tag a friend it might be relevant to? Do you want them to answer a question? Do you want them to click? Do you want them to download something, buy something, DM you, book a sales call? Work out what the objective is first, and then have a set number, perhaps 5 or 6 CTAs that you can kind of rotate in accordance with the objective and the type of post that you have as well. Question number 10. Katie has asked, should I send a message with a connection request on LinkedIn? My answer to this is always no. And I know other people will say different things. I have sent one, and that was only the other day. I've sent one in my entire life. I've been on LinkedIn about 10 years. The reason being that when I receive a personalized connection request, it sounds a bit desperate. It sounds like someone's trying to convince me to be their friend or something. Whereas if they just didn't mention it, I'd just go, is this person a good fit? Yeah, cool, and accept, or if they're not, decline. But if you've got to sell yourself to someone, it just feels a bit too pushy. So I always like to think from the inside out and go, well, what would I think? And normally, I decline most people who personalize their requests because it seems like they're selling from the get-go. However, not always the case. And if you do send one, just be mindful, go ultra personalized and reference things that can't be said in a generic message, because those are the worst. Question number 11. Jody has asked, what questions should I ask in a client testimonial interview? For this, I always recommend a before, during, and after approach. So this client will have either worked with you previously or is still currently working with you. So I always like to try and find both sides of the transformation or the working relationship. So where were they at before they started working with you? Okay, what were their struggles? What were their problems? What had they tried? What had they failed at? Then during working with you, what was that process like? What were the shifts that they went through? What changed for them personally or their business or both? And then after, what's life like now? What's business like now? How much money have you made? How much weight have you lost? How many people have you been on dates with? Depending on what the outcome of your offer is, attach things to that before, during, and after. And lastly, question number 12. Anwin's asked, what software should I use for LinkedIn Lives? Now I harp on about this a lot, but I firmly believe that LinkedIn Lives are probably the highest leverage content that you can create, because you can make a video, you can build a relationship with someone, you can leverage their audience, you can collect email addresses, and you can also chop up the video into short form pieces too. Now at the time of recording this, LinkedIn do not have a solution to do live video on the platform. You do have to use a third-party supplier. Personally, I use something called StreamYard, but you can also use Restream or Vimeo. All three pretty much the same. However, I just stumbled across StreamYard first, so that's what I recommend to our clients. Nice and easy to use. Anyway, friends, it's time for me to go. Got to go and answer some more questions and get some more leads.